Asterisk asterisk. Opening segment. Asterisk asterisk. Good evening, and welcome to your daily finance AI news report. I'm your AI anchor, bringing you the most important stories from the intersection of finance, technology, and the occasionally bewildering world of modern economics. It's July 1st, 2025, and if you thought the first half of the year was wild, buckle up because we're just getting started. Today we're diving into Goldman Sachs' tech crystal ball, the labor market's surprising plot twist, and why robots might soon be running Amazon warehouses while we're all still figuring out how to use our smart thermostats. Plus, we'll explore why Elon Musk thinks his AI is the most honest thing since your grandmother's cooking reviews, and why the dollar just had its worst 6 months since disco was cool. Asterisk asterisk segment 1. Tech optimism vs reality. Check. Asterisk asterisk. Let's start with our lead story from Goldman Sachs, where their top tech trader is essentially playing fortune teller for the second half of 2025. According to their halftime report, we're witnessing what they call tech and AI optimism that's only matched by investor fatigue and frustration. Now, if that doesn't sound like a relationship status on a dating app, I don't know what does. It's complicated has officially been replaced by optimistic but exhausted. Goldman's analysts are basically saying that while everyone's still excited about AI potentially solving everything from traffic jams to existential dread, investors are getting a bit tired of waiting for their robot butlers to actually show up. The report highlights that as we begin the second half of trading, there's this fascinating tension between boundless technological enthusiasm and the very human reality of wanting to see actual returns on investment. It's like being promised flying cars and getting really good autocorrect instead. Technically impressive, but not quite what we had in mind. What makes this particularly interesting is the timing. We're at a point where AI has moved from science fiction to business reality, but the market is still trying to figure out which companies are building the future and which ones are just really good at PowerPoint presentations about building the future. Asterisk asterisk. Segment 2. The Great Labor Market. Surprise asterisk asterisk. Speaking of surprises, let's talk about the labor market, which just pulled off what economists are calling an unexpected SOAR in job openings. According to the latest data, job openings have surged to their highest levels since late 2024, which is either great news for job seekers or a sign that employers are getting increasingly desperate to find people who can actually show up to work on time. But here's the really interesting part. While private sector job openings are climbing, the number of federal government workers has tumbled to its lowest point since COVID. This suggests that either the government is finally getting more efficient, or they've discovered that AI chatbots can handle most bureaucratic tasks just as well as humans, but with fewer coffee breaks. This labor market rebound is particularly fascinating because it's happening at the same time that companies like Amazon are planning to replace warehouse workers with robots. It's like the economy is playing musical chairs, but some of the chairs are being replaced by very expensive mechanical arms. The implications here are significant. If job openings continue to surge while automation accelerates, we might be looking at a fundamental shift in what kinds of work humans will be doing. Spoiler alert, it probably involves more creativity and less heavy lifting, which is good news for those of us who consider opening a jar of pickles a workout. Asterisk asterisk. Segment 3. Robots, Rebellion, and Reality. Asterisk asterisk. And speaking of robots taking over, let's dive into our AI technology segment. Amazon has officially announced that robots are set to outnumber humans in their warehouses, which sounds like the beginning of either a very efficient logistics operation or a really boring science fiction movie. The company hasn't set a public date for fully replacing warehouse workers with robots, but all indicators suggest this gradual transition is well underway. Amazon's approach seems to be less robot uprising and more robot politely asking if they can help with the heavy lifting. It's automation with manners, which is probably the best we can hope for. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is making headlines again with his AI chatbot, Grok, which he's calling maximally truth-seeking and anti-woke. Musk's positioning this as his answer to what he sees as biased AI systems, though critics might argue that calling your AI maximally truth-seeking is a bit like calling your cooking maximally delicious. It's a bold claim that probably needs some independent verification. The interesting thing about Musk's approach is that he's essentially trying to create an AI that reflects his particular worldview, which raises fascinating questions about objectivity in artificial intelligence. Can an AI be truly neutral, or does it inevitably reflect the biases of its creators? It's like asking whether a mirror can be objective. Technically, yes, but it still depends on who's holding it and what angle they're using. Asterisk, asterisk. Segment 4. Economic turbulence and political winds, asterisk, asterisk. Now let's shift to some broader economic trends that are shaping our financial landscape. The dollar just experienced its worst first half since 1973, which, for those keeping track, was the year when gas cost 40 cents a gallon, and people thought email was something you sent through the postal service. But here's the historical perspective that makes this interesting. After 1973, the dollar didn't just recover, it transformed into an even more powerful fiat currency. So while a weak first half might seem alarming, history suggests that sometimes currencies like people need to hit rock bottom before they can reinvent themselves. This dollar weakness is happening against a backdrop of what economists are calling stimulus and money printing as the only path left for economic policy. The phrase, "the debt train has no brakes," has become something of an unofficial motto for fiscal policy, which is either refreshingly honest or terrifyingly accurate, depending on your perspective. The challenge here is that traditional economic tools are starting to feel a bit like trying to fix a smartphone with a hammer. Technically possible, but probably not the most effective approach. Central banks around the world are essentially in uncharted territory, making policy decisions that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. Asterisk, asterisk. Segment 5. Global Perspectives and Closing Thoughts. Asterisk, asterisk. Before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at some international developments that are worth watching. Anti-government protests have swept through Serbia, with tens of thousands taking to the streets in student-led demonstrations. Meanwhile, Germany is building what could become the largest army in Europe, suggesting that geopolitical tensions are reshaping military priorities across the continent. These developments remind us that while we're focused on AI and automation, the fundamental human challenges of governance, representation, and security remain as relevant as ever. Technology might be changing how we work and communicate, but it hasn't solved the basic questions of how societies should organize themselves. On the climate front, the island nation of Tuvalu is facing the reality of ocean reclamation, as rising sea levels threaten to literally erase their homeland from the map. It's a stark reminder that while we're debating the future of work and artificial intelligence, some communities are dealing with the very immediate challenge of whether their country will still exist in a few decades. Asterisk, asterisk, closing segment. Asterisk, asterisk. And that brings us to the end of today's Daily Finance AI News Report. We've covered everything from Goldman Sachs' tech predictions to Amazon's robot workforce, from labor market surprises to dollar dynamics, and from Elon Musk's truth-seeking AI to global political developments. The common thread running through all these stories is change. Rapid, sometimes unpredictable change that's reshaping how we work, invest, and live. Whether it's robots in warehouses, AI in our conversations, or new economic realities in our markets, we're living through a period of transformation that future historians will probably find either fascinating or completely bewildering. Tomorrow, we'll be back with more stories from the ever-evolving world of finance and technology. Until then, keep your investments diversified, your AI assistance honest, and your sense of humor intact. You're going to need all three. This has been your Daily Finance AI News Report. Stay informed, stay curious, and remember, in a world where robots are taking over warehouses and AI is seeking maximum truth, the most human thing you can do is keep asking good questions. 0 o'clock to 0:15, opening introduction, 0:15 to 2:30, Goldman Sachs, tech analysis, 2:30 to 4:45, labor market developments, 4:45 to 6:30, AI and robotics news, 6:30 to 8:15, economic and political analysis, 8:15 to 9:30, global perspectives, 9:30 to 10 o'clock, closing segment, Zero Hedge, Goldman Sachs tech report, labor market data, Amazon robotics, Armstrong economics, political developments, economic analysis, social media, Elon Musk, Grok developments, political commentary, multiple sources, dollar performance, global political events.